Watching the 7 o'clock news on CNC3, I'm Maria Rambali. Ryan Beatru joins us shortly with a post-budget panel.
I am Jassy Marik with sport.
And I'm Jean-Marc Rambasad with your weather.
Making the news tonight, government unveils $55 billion budget, fuel prices drop, public servants get a raise, and Tobago secures a bigger share of the pie.
Oh, what a way! What a way to get to your maiden 100.
In sport, Campbell and Hope show fight to push Game 2 into a fifth day, but in their eyes, a series sweep.
Street flooding and power fluctuations from today's thunderstorm activity. I'll have the details in tonight's weather report.
Finance Minister Devendranath Thakur presented a $55 billion fiscal package, boasting of promises made and promises kept. And while he could not escape a deficit, the government is promising to ease the economic burden by lowering prices at the pump, but alcohol and cigarettes could be going up, also increasing over the next few years the retirement age. Kijan Haynes breaks it down.
Members of the public had been clear they did not want to hear an increase in gas prices in the budget, and today they got that wish with immediate effect.
Immediately, the price of super gasoline at the gas station pump will be reduced by $1 per litre.
Now, adding to savings, the government will remove VAT from basic food items like salt, morbi, and locally produced vegetables and fruits. And a major promise is being kept for public servants.
To advise the Chief Personnel Officer to submit a revised offer of 10%.
On employment, after laying off thousands of CPEP and URP workers, the government is promising a more long-term employment plan for them through an employment fund of $475 million, which will be used with $310 million for job creation. Thakur promised the Prime Minister would explain more. But the government giveth and the government taketh away.
80% of the projected revenue increases are attributable to customs duties on rum and spirits, beer and tobacco products.
Those steep increases in custom duties on alcohol and tobacco, along with higher fees on containers and customs declarations, are expected to generate an additional $1 billion in revenue. The government is also increasing penalties for various offences. Driving violations such as careless driving and driving under the influence now will set you back $15,000. Now, these measures, effective January 1st, are expected to generate an additional $180 million in revenue. There's also now a phased increase in national insurance contributions. The first 3% rise takes effect on January 5th, 2026, followed by a second 3% increase on January 4th, 2027. It spreads the burden over 2 years. And the age for receiving a full National Insurance System or NIS pension, better known as the retirement age, will gradually increase from 60 to 65, beginning in January 2028. The change will be phased in over a 10-year period, with the retirement age rising by 1 year every 2 years until it reaches 65 in 2036.
There will be no change for anyone who retires at age 60 before January 1st, 2028.
And Tobago may be celebrating today as government announced $2.96 billion to the THA, which represents a full 5% of the national budget. But with an additional ministry spend, it comes up to...
In total, then, the allocation to Tobago for the fiscal year 2026 will be $3.72 billion, which equates to 6.3% of the national budget.
Once again, education, health, and national security make up the top three allocations. Total revenue is estimated at $55 billion, with a fiscal deficit of $3.8 billion, or 2.17% of GDP. Kijan Haynes, CNC3 News.
And just a quick clarification, it's a $59 billion budget. Well, the opposition hosted a news conference a short while ago. Doris Polo has their response.
Fake and fraudulent. That was how opposition leader Penelope Beckles described this year's budget presentation by Finance Minister Devendranath Tanku. Now, both Beckles and former Finance Minister Colum Imbert agreed that the government overestimated the revenue that Trinidad and Tobago will earn through oil and gas. They said that pegging the budget at around $73 per barrel, when oil currently stands around $50, creates the opportunity for the government to dip into the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, this country's savings, to supplement its income. Now, they raised several questions about the introduction of taxes on alcohol and cigarettes, as well as imposing fines for driving under the influence of alcohol. Now, several members of the opposition did weigh in on this budget presentation. They said that the government, it cannot deliver on its promises. And according to Imbert, he specifically spoke to the 10% wage increase that was proposed for public servants. He said that it was not much different than what was proposed by the People's National Movement. We will have those responses and much more in tomorrow's Guardian newspaper. Until then, it's Doris Polo, CNC3 News, Port of Spain.
And following today's announcement that the cost of super gasoline will be reduced by $1, we asked how you felt about that measure.
The People Say, brought to you by Excel Health TT, the official supplement of the CPM.
I mean, if there's a starting point, we could start with that, and, as the years go by in terms of when the government, the second year, third year, maybe they could do something better.
So I believe at $1, it's kind of disappointing, but at the same time, I believe we understand that the country is in a serious deficit, so we can't expect a major change immediately. Hopefully, next year, please God, they could drop it again.
The cost of living has been so high, so this any way that we can save, it's wonderful.
Plenty of people will get a big relief in the gas price, and it will be good for transport.
Usually when there's a budget, there's never much of a reduction in something that was increased, whether there's a change in government. So I approve of any reduction that affects the cost of living throughout.
It's good news. It shows that some improvement may happen in the country by that little change there. So we look forward for better improvement.
The People Say, brought to you by Excel Health TT, the official supplement of the CPM.
And based on the immediate reduction of super gasoline prices, gas station owners could experience losses between $20,000 and $30,000. Public Relations Officer of the Petroleum Dealers Association, Derek Joseph, commended the government on the reduction. He said TNT's 150 gas stations would have taken a hard hit. We'll have more reactions in the Guardian newspaper and on our social media platforms. Well, PSA President Felicia Thomas declared victory for public officers after the finance minister's announcement of a 10% wage increase proposal. Tanku said government had instructed the chief personnel officer to begin negotiations for the 2014 to 2019 periods. Thomas said the union is ready to meet with the CPO next week to secure a fair settlement and thanked workers for their endurance and solidarity. The PSA leader urged members to remain professional and productive as talks begin next week. Still to come in the news, decomposing body of an elderly nurse found in her Vista Bella apartment. And in sport, York vouches that his players are well aware of the stakes as they tackle top-of-the-table Curaçao.
At Bagwansing's Port of Spain and Chagonas, we are committed to providing quality products for all major building projects. Let's build together with rebars and beams, VRC coils and mats, RHS and angles, roofing sheets and purlins, lumber, plywood and MDF. Bagwansing's, building homes, building communities, building TNT for over 60 years. Bagwansing's, Port of Spain and Chagonas, building value every day.
Welcome back. Chief Secretary Farley Augustine and Finance Secretary Petal Ann Roberts have welcomed Tobago's $3.7 billion allocation, the largest in the island's history, representing 6.3% of the national budget. The THA had requested $3.9 billion, or 5.9%, earlier this year. Augustine said the 5% signals improved cooperation with central government. He praised the government for keeping its promises and delivering all funds due for the first time in more than a decade. The Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce Chairman Curtis Williams said he's satisfied but urged that the money be managed and spent wisely. While the Health Ministry has received its largest budget allocation in the past decade, the Finance Minister allocated $8.2 billion to the health sector, the second highest after education. Tanku also announced the government's plan to create a court to handle medical malpractice cases.
We will legislate a medical malpractice court, no-fault compensation fund, and a revised patients' charter.
President of the National Nurses Association, Edie Stewart, said the establishment of the court was an innovative idea. He said this will provide relief for families and patients who may have not experienced the best treatment in the public health care system. Meanwhile, the allocation to housing has dropped for fiscal 2026, with $662 million to be made available to the housing sector. Last year, housing was allocated an estimated $1.4 billion. During his budget presentation, the finance minister outlined some of the goals for the housing sector.
Our ambitious target is to provide 20,000 affordable homes through PPPs and innovative designs. We will launch first-time homeowner grants, low-interest loans for young families.
Director of Habitat for Humanity, Jennifer Messiah, said while the allocation was not bad, it wasn't enough to address the demand for housing, noting that now more than ever, collaboration between the state and private sector entities were needed. And with an allocation of roughly $6.4 billion to the National Security Ministries, former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith and President of the Fire Services Association, Keon Guy, want more information on plans for the tripart ministry. Guy says he is encouraged by the promise of new equipment and vehicles, but wanted to hear more about the timelines, including the promise of new fire stations. Griffith said the idea of shifting the National Operations Center from the Office of the Prime Minister to the police service is undermining the usefulness of the facility. He says the US $80 million entity has greater capabilities than just being a police unit. In other news, the decomposing body of 44-year-old nurse Marianne Bacchus was found inside her Vista Bella apartment last night. Police say she had a wound to the neck and a knife was found in her hand. Her landlord made the grim discovery around 7:30 p.m. after relatives said they couldn't reach her for several days. He used his key to enter and found her on her bed surrounded by blood. Investigators say the apartment was intact with no signs of forced entry. Bacchus, who worked at the San Fernando General Hospital, was last seen alive on October 8th when her brother dropped her home after a doctor's visit. Bacchus lived at the apartment alone for the past 3 years, and according to the police, she had been experiencing financial problems. Police are awaiting the autopsy results to determine whether or not the injury was self-inflicted. Relatives of murdered businessman Imraz Ali are due to return to the Forensic Science Center tomorrow to assist investigators in identifying the decomposing corpse. We understand Ali's relatives were unable to complete the ID process, utilizing only a visual exam today. The body of a man believed to be that of 60-year-old Ali was recovered from a precipice along the North Coast Road in Maracas on October 11th. Ali was last seen on September 4th. Despite extensive searches, clues as to Ali's whereabouts ran cold. It was only after a $100,000 reward was offered by Crime Stoppers that an anonymous caller reportedly directed the police to Ali's body. The reward came more than a month after Ali disappeared. Well, as we head to a break, let's remind you that we're just moments away from unpacking the measures from the 2026 fiscal package. Ryan Bechu is standing by with our panel of experts to take a deeper dive into the promises and priorities presented by government.
Ping pong, from Josh chocolates, comes into flavor. Ping pong, everybody wants some roasted peanut.
peanuts is the true number one. Ping pong, you better get a handful. This chocolate is so incredible. What's the snack everybody craves for? Ping pong bungs into flavor. Chocolate coated peanuts. Delicious top class A plus ping pong. Ping pong from Charles Chocolate. Bungs into flavor.
Diwali specials at Food Basket, Arima, Chaguanas, Champlain, and Gulfview. Cook's brand pure vegetable ghee, £1, $24.95. 2 kilogram, $99. Pure coconut oil, 700 ml, $17.95. Jolly Foods granulated sugar, 1800 gram, $19.95. Chana, £5, $20, save $9.95. Cocoa, 2 liter assorted, 3 for $20. Wax Deers, case $1.99. Shub Diwali from Food Basket. 4 locations. Arima, Champlain, Chaguanas, and Gulfview.
Whether you're an athlete, a business professional, or simply someone who values their health, Omega XL can empower you to keep doing what you love. Don't let joint discomfort hold you back.
Live long, stay strong with the XL brand.
Muscle Russell. Ho, 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 ho. Start the season sweet with Jimmy Abood's annual Christmas and October sale. Get up to 60% off on curtains, sheet sets, floor mats, upholstery fabric, and more. Shop now at the last big sale of the year.
Millions of people are attacked by harmful mouth bacteria. The root cause of bad breath, gum problems, cavities, plaque, and tartar. That's why Colgate combined the best science and technology in Colgate Total. Unlike others, its superior formula fights bacteria and creates a powerful protective barrier for up to 24 hours to prevent them from coming back. Take control of your oral health with Colgate Total.
The super sale is here at Besides the Food King. Special deals for Diwali on Nabisco cream of wheat, 340 grams, only $37.99. Gold medal pure butter ghee, 800 grams, now $99.99. Nestle green butterfly milk, 250 ml, 3 packs, 20. Fresh Harvest sweetened condensed milk, 3 for just $25. Chantak soya chunks, 230 grams, 2 packs for $25. Ibis all-purpose flour, 2 kilograms, 2 packs, now $30. Sir dishwashing liquid, 750 ml, 2 bottles, just $20. Chubby soft drink assorted, 3 cases, now $95. Plus, we're giving you 5 times the joy this season. Enter to win one of 5 brand new Toyota Tazers. Sale ends 21st October or while stocks last.
Push on, quality value, that's our way. The real push shots, we're here to stay. The Food King push shots.
Hey, man. Where are you? Okay. He said 5 minutes. Anyone want dessert? Maybe he's stuck at the office? Surprise! Not yet, Carl.
Bro, I'm literally at the altar right now. Relax.
I'm almost there.
We're like the friend who isn't always late.
You have the rings.
CG United. Good like that.
My mom has been shopping here for the last 15 years. So coming here with her, now I have my own family.
The variety of items, cleanliness of the place, the spaciousness.
My favorite section is household.
My husband loves the hardware section and the auto section. My favorite would be stationery.
Price Club is the low price leader, leading supermarket in TNT.
They are the best. I would recommend Price Club to anybody.
Flooring is serious business. Why take a chance? It's not a small spend, so why waste time? No doubt, CW Interiors has the widest selection of flooring. Not 1 or even 2, but 7 different collections. Superior quality at the most competitive prices. Excellent warranties. Don't be fooled. Buy with confidence from CW Interiors, making quality affordable for over 45 years.
Get the best for less this Diwali at Southern Food Basket. Wax Diaz, 1 dozen, $26.95. Royalty coconut oil, 700 ml, $17.95. Royalty Diaz oil, 2 liters, $54.95. Anchor Cow Brand Ghee, 2 pounds, $119.95. Moo Low Fat Evaporated Milk, 250 ml, 4 for $19.95. Dairy Champ Condensed Milk, 1 kg, $18.95. Nabisco Cream of Wheat, 340 grams, $37.95. Offers available while stocks last.
Welcome back. Now today we had some intense thunderstorms over Trinidad, producing street flooding in central, southern and eastern areas. The electrical discharges even resulted in a power fluctuation experienced by most across Trinidad. That activity has now mostly settled, leaving behind some light rain and cloudy conditions in some areas. Looking to our east, Tropical Storm Lorenzo formed this morning from the tropical wave that we were tracking last week. It currently poses no threat to any landmass as it's expected to recurve out into the central Atlantic Ocean. Now for the forecast for tonight, partly cloudy conditions with isolated showers and the low chance of a heavy shower. Overnight lows of 24 in Trinidad and 26 in Tobago. Tomorrow, a mostly fair morning despite a few showers. Afternoon thunderstorms are possible again, but not expected to be as intense or as widespread as today. They are expected to favor the northern areas of Trinidad, so street flooding is possible across the east-west corridor mainly. Conditions should then settle by the evening afterwards. Seas are generally moderate conditions. Winds are expected out of the east-southeast at 10 to 15 knots. Now looking ahead, a relatively wet week in the lead up to Diwali next Monday. There's a chance of thunderstorms on each day, with Friday and Saturday so far looking like the driest days. But Sunday into Monday, we're expecting a relatively strong tropical wave. Now that's all for the weather report tonight. We're going to take another break, but stick around. Sport is up next.
Question: how much does a funeral go for these days? I guarantee the figure you're thinking is way smaller than the actual cost. Because even though life is priceless, death is real expensive. But CUNA Caribbean's Family Indemnity Plan can help for things like sudden funeral costs, plus the other bills left behind that could threaten your finances. And imagine, for a monthly payment of less than $70, you could cover up to 9 family members. And you don't have to take a medical exam to sign up. So don't stick. Get the Family Indemnity Plan. Why? Because it's a good thing. Trust me. CUNA Caribbean Insurance. For all people. Terms and conditions apply.
Folks, take a look at all these medical conditions. What does it have in common? This, ITIS. But what does ITIS really mean?
The suffix itis denotes inflammation of a specified organ or tissue.
ITIS really means inflammation. How do we combat chronic inflammation? Through lifestyle changes. Then, and only then, make sure you're getting enough omega-3 fatty acids.
Always consult a qualified medical professional before starting any supplements.
Meet Team TNT, Martin Lumpkin, Marsha Huggins, Natasha Baron Ramtahal, Suan Marchand, and Jiwan Durga. Built on experience, focused on you. On October 14th, vote Team TNT, the leadership you trust for the future you deserve.
Get the best for less this Diwali at Southern Food Basket. Globe grapes, $18.95 per pound. Potatoes, buy 10 pounds, get 5 pounds free. Squash pumpkin, $1.95 per pound. Extra large grain chana, 2 pounds, $14.95. Split peas, 2 pounds, $7.95. Crown rice, 8 kg, $69.95. Shiitake soya chunks, 8 ounce, $14.95. Ibis all-purpose flour, 10 kg, $69.95. Offers available while stocks last.
Do you know that Neo Eyewear was the first to offer the Ray-Ban Meta glasses in Trinidad?
And yes, they are genuine and authentic, with different colors and sizes to match your style. With these glasses, you can listen to music, take calls hands-free, pictures, and even videos.
And yes, they offer a free eye test.
And back to school sale, frames, lens for $200. You heard me right, $200 for frames, lens, eye test, everything. So what are you waiting for? See your way with Neo Eyewear.
With Alive Multivitamins by Nature's Way, you won't be defined by time. You'll own every minute of it. Discover how you can age vibrantly with Alive.
Diwali specials at Food Basket, Arima, Chaguanas, Champlain, and Gulfview. Nestle reconstituted 1 liter milk, 2 for $24.95. Nestle's green butterfly milk, 250 ml, 3 for $18.95. Good and natural cream of wheat, $14.95. Potatoes, 10 pounds for $20. Onions, 4 pounds for $9.95. Supercow full cream milk powder, 800 gram, $37.95. Shop Diwali from Food Basket. 4 locations: Arima, Champlain, Chaguanas, and Gulfview.
Science calls it AMPK, your body's built-in system for burning fat, balancing blood sugar, and fueling energy. Berberine Plus naturally supports AMPK, helping you feel better, live better, be better. Available at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide. Berberine Plus, powerful results naturally.
Flooring is serious business. Why take a chance? It's not a small spend, so why waste time? No doubt, CW Interiors has the widest selection of flooring. Not one or even two, but 7 different collections. Superior quality at the most competitive prices. Excellent warranties. Don't be fooled. Buy with confidence from CW Interiors, making quality affordable for over 45 years.
The Little Store offers you a great shopping experience in cool comfort with knowledgeable, helpful staff. Our large aisles and well-organized shelves are filled with quality puja materials, incense sticks, tasty mithai, and homemade yogurt. Come to us for all your Indian groceries and spices, SAS paper Sahari leaves, household items, sewing supplies, religious books, and lots more. You can depend on the Little Store, your store. It's an honor to serve you.
In Hinduism, cow's milk is revered, and from the finest milk comes our ghee. When offered into the sacred fire, cow ghee carries our prayers to the deities, unlike processed vegetable ghee. From your devotion to your delicious dishes, you can trust Anchor Cow Brand Ghee. For all occasions, use the best ghee. Enjoy the best food and delicacies, and have the best Diwali with Anchor Cow Brand Ghee.
Welcome back. It's time for sport. The Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs will receive $58 million less than its predecessor, the Ministry of Sport and Community Development, for recurrent expenditure for the next fiscal year. The figure represents a slash from $338.6 million to $279.9. Despite this, though, there is a $27 million increase toward the sport company. The Minister of Finance, Devindranath Tanku, emphasized sport as a priority of this government as he delivered his maiden budget speech today, stating intentions to continue several development measures and programs. You'll have a full breakdown in tomorrow's Guardian. John Campbell and Shea Hope both scored hundreds as the West Indies pushed the second test versus India into a fifth and final day. Campbell's maiden century and Hope's third helped the West Indies to its highest total since November last year.
West Indies resumed on 173 for 2 with John Campbell on 87 and Shea Hope on 66. The pair carried on to see Campbell notch his first test ton with this huge 6. It took him 25 matches to do so. But the partnership ended at 177 when the Jamaican attempted to reverse sweep. He was on 115, West Indies 212 for 3. In came Captain Ruston Chase to join Hope, who got to his third Test 100 and his first in 8 years as the West Indies fight back continued, but didn't stick around much longer, bowled on 103. Now that triggered a collapse on a procession of batters back to the pavilion. The wicket of Anderson Phillip made it 311 for 9, but a defiant 79-run last wicket stand between Jayden Seals and Justin Graves pushed them to 390 before the final wicket fell, the team's first score above 300 for the year. Targeting just 121, India lost Yashasvi Jaiswal early, 9 for 1. But they closed on 63 for no further loss and are 58 runs behind with a day left. Ian Wason, CNC3 Sport.
Trinidad and Tobago Cricket Board President Azim Basarat is set to continue in the post for a 5th consecutive term as he was nominated unopposed for the TTCB elections on October 25th. Nominations closed on Friday with first Vice President candidate Altaf Bashk also running unopposed. The position of General Secretary is also contested by a sole candidate in Mr. Henry Chase. Football now, Dwight York says his team is riding high following Friday's victory over Bermuda, which has revitalized their World Cup qualification campaign. York was speaking today in Curacao on the eve of his team's next assignment against the Dutch-speaking opposition and said the TNT camp is upbeat, but he also recognizes the same on Curaçao's side. They are now top of the qualifying Group B after defeating Jamaica on Friday night. For this reason, York says TNT's players will have to be at their very best to get the required result in their last away game of this campaign.
Everyone here on the island is upbeat, optimistic, and so are we. And we're at a very critical stage of the competition. We know a victory certainly on both sides will put us one step closer to qualifying. As I say to my players, it's all about us. We can only control what's in front of us, and we need to be at our best to overcome Curaçao tomorrow, as simple as that.
TNT and Curaçao are in action on Tuesday night from 7 p.m. at the Ergilio Hato Stadium's artificial turf. Rabia's Ripper now gets her the nod for tonight's Sport High.
What a ball, it just clipped the off stump, would you believe it? That is a beautiful delivery. Dirksen cannot believe it, should probably have to see the replay on the big screen, but it just kissed the off stump on its way into the stumps.
That's it for sport. More news after this break.
Recession have you down? Don't lose hope. Head on down to Tire Clinic for the recession deals. That should big savings with our road hazard warranty on Dunlop, Sumitomo, and Falcon tires. Available at Tire Clinic, Cuba, Chaguanas, and Plaisance Park. Tire Clinic, a tire for every need. Call 636-8973 or 636-2958. Dress like you mean business. At The Working Woman, we bring you stylish, professional looks made for the modern woman. From casual to formal workwear, we've got your professional wardrobe covered.
Ho, 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 ho. Start the season sweet with Jimmy Abood's annual Christmas and October sale. Get up to 60% off on curtains, sheet sets, floor mats, upholstery fabric, and more. Shop now at the last big sale of the year.
Feeling off balance? Your body might be missing AMPK. It's your natural reset, regulating how your body stores fat and processes sugar. Berberine Plus activates AMPK, helping your cells use energy better, reduce fat, and keep sugar levels in check. Berberine Plus, now at Pennywise and leading pharmacies nationwide.
Things don't always go as expected. Be ready with Trinry for auto, home, business and group life. Call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Huge insurance premium. Pay your premiums bit by bit with FlexiPay from Trinry. For more manageable auto, home and commercial insurance payments, call us at 800-TRIN or visit trinry.com today. Trinry, premier insurance coverage for less.
Would you recommend this product to younger people?
Age doesn't really matter. So I think if I was 17, 18 and I get introduced to these products, I would maybe be Superman. So
more Superman?
More Superman.
Absolutely outstanding.
Bright Ideas is doing it big this Diwali, and it's all happening under the tent. 50% off curtains, flowers, ornaments, and vases. 25 to 50% off mats and rugs. 25% off all lighting fixtures. Plus, unbeatable specials on small and large appliances. Don't miss it. Once it's gone, it's gone. The Bright Ideas Diwali Expo is on now, and you've never seen savings like this. Bright Ideas, located at Point Fortin, Princestown, Rio Claro, Laramie, Marabella, Curep, Tiggermartin, and Chaguanas.
Nature's Ways Alive Kids Gummies are multivitamin gummies meant to support the development of children's bodies, like their bones, muscles, joints, brain, heart, and also their immune health. Choose Alive Kids Gummies by Nature's Way because they deserve it.
In Hinduism, cow's milk is revered, and from the finest milk comes our ghee. when offered into the sacred fire. Cow ghee carries our prayers to the deities, unlike processed vegetable ghee. From your devotion to your delicious dishes, you can trust Anchor Cow Brand Ghee. For all occasions, use the best ghee. Enjoy the best food and delicacies, and have the best Diwali with Anchor Cow Brand Ghee.
Get the best for less this Diwali at Southern Food Basket. No name bathroom tissue, 24s, 2 bales, $87.95. Aqua Pure, 330 ml, 6 cases for $99.95. Soft and Pretty paper towels, 3 packs, 2 for $29.95. Chubby, 3 cases for $100. Cold, 2 liters, 3 for $19.95. Olympic unpitted prunes, 450 grams, $17.95. Olympic sultanas, 400 grams, $9.95. Offers available while stocks last.
Meet Team TNT, Martin Lumpkin, Marsha Huggins, Natasha Baron Ramtahal, Suan Marchand, and Jiwan Durga. Built on experience, focused on you. On October 14th, vote Team TNT, the leadership you trust for the future you deserve.
Diwali preparations can be quite stressful, especially when you have a hectic schedule. Luckily, at PremSing.com, I get my Diwali essentials all in one place. With a click of a button, I can get my diyas, decorations, lights, sweet boxes, sweet mixes, groceries, knickknacks, and more. I enjoy shopping online because I can enjoy the store specials here too, like this reduced price box of wax diyas and decorations.
Let's do this. You can get the help you need to succeed with Rand Credit Union. You can believe that you can achieve. Big goals, small ones too. Rand Credit Union, we've got you. No more waiting, that won't do. Make someday today. One life, so make it good. Live the way you know you should. With Rand Credit Union, yes you could. Make someday today.
Live your best life today with Rand Credit Union.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Kamla Prasad-Bisesa says key measures in the budget came from her government listening to the public's plight. At a news conference a short while ago, the Prime Minister said gas prices were a major concern.
I say we always listen and then we lead. And I've been listening for some time now, but especially in the last week, and everybody was reading out their wish list of what they wanted to see in the budget. These were 2 top items. Do not raise the price of gas. We did even better. We reduced the price of the supergas. And the second cry that was heard from most of the people speaking out and sharing, don't raise the price of food. Instead, we have tried to reduce the price of food.
Well, that wraps up the 7 p.m. newscast, but don't go anywhere. Coming up next on CNC3, we head on over to Ryan Bechu, who's standing by with a panel of experts and political voices ready to break down the key takeaways from the 2026 fiscal package.
Thanks very much, Ria. Finance Minister Devendranath Thakur this afternoon delivering a $59 billion budget. In his 3.5-hour presentation, the Finance Minister announcing a reduction in supergas prices, but alcohol and tobacco prices are on the up. I'm Ryan Bechu. Welcome to our primetime coverage of the 2026 budget presentation.
Budget coverage brought to you by Kuna Caribbean Insurance, Rand Credit Union Cooperative Society Limited, Alive by Nature's Way, distributed by H&J Enterprises, and Burger King.
From wage negotiations to an increase in electricity rates to transfer pricing, the Finance Minister delivered a budget presentation that triggered discussion across the country today. Let's recap the major highlights with Kijan Haynes.
Members of the public had been clear. They did not want to hear an increase in gas prices in the budget.
We are not looking forward for prices of gas.
Well, I don't want to hear nothing reason the price going up. Hope it stays or go down.
And today they got that wish with immediate effect.
Immediately, the price of super gasoline at the gas station pump will be reduced by $1 per litre.
Now, adding to savings, the government will remove VAT from basic food items like salt, morbi, and locally produced vegetables and fruits. And a major promise is being kept for public servants.
To advise the Chief Personnel Officer to submit a revised offer of 10%.
On employment, after laying off thousands of CPEP and URP workers, the government is promising a more long-term employment plan for them through an employment fund of $475 million, which will be used with $310 million for job creation. Tanku promised the Prime Minister would explain more. But the government giveth and the government taketh away.
80% of the projected revenue increases are attributable to customs duties on rum and spirits, beer and tobacco products.
Those steep increases in custom duties on alcohol and tobacco, along with higher fees on containers and customs declarations, are expected to generate an additional $1 billion in revenue. The government is also increasing penalties for various offences. Driving violations such as careless driving and driving under the influence now will set you back $15,000. Now, these measures, effective January 1st, are expected to generate an additional $180 million in revenue. There's also now a phased increase in national insurance contributions. The first 3% rise takes effect on January 5th, 2026, followed by a second 3% increase on January 4th, 2027. It spreads the burden over 2 years. And the age for receiving a full National Insurance System or NIS pension, better known as the retirement age, will gradually increase from 60 to 65, beginning in January 2028. The change will be phased in over a 10-year period, with the retirement age rising by 1 year every 2 years until it reaches 65 in 2036.
There will be no change for anyone who retires at age 60 before January 1st, 2028.
And Tobago may be celebrating today as government announced $2.96 billion to the THA, which represents a full 5% of the national budget. But with an additional ministry spend, it comes up to...
In total, then, the allocation to Tobago for the fiscal year 2026 will be $3.72 billion, which equates to 6.3% of the national budget.
Some other notable increases in the budget. From January 2026, LPG cylinders over £100 will raise 50 cents per pound, while bankers and insurers will pay a 0.25% asset levy expected to raise $575 million. The government will also issue a $1 billion NIF bond, and it will charge landlords registration and rental surcharges. There's also going to be an additional 5 cents per kilowatt electricity fee for businesses. Once again, education, health, and national security make up the top 3 allocations. Total revenue is estimated at $55 billion, with a fiscal deficit of $3.8 billion, or 2.17% of GDP. Kijan Haynes, CNC3 News.
All right, thank you very much, Kijan. Appreciate that wrap on today's budget presentation. In that budget presentation, Finance Minister Dave Tanku did say the Prime Minister in her contribution will expand on many of those areas. She spoke to the media after the budget presentation. Let's listen to a little bit of what she had to say.
I would say that this budget is anchored on one guiding principle: T and T first. It is a call to strengthen our republic by building economic fairness through accountable fiscal policies. This budget is a plan to protect our people, to modernize our economy, and to restore confidence in the stewardship of public funds. This is a budget that puts Trinidad and Tobago first. It is about discipline, fairness, and delivery, ensuring that every dollar spent serves the public good and not private gain. I say again, from the outset, my government made a simple promise to protect the people and to manage the economy responsibly. That is why, effective immediately, we are reducing the price of super gasoline by $1 per liter. This is a direct measure to ease the burden on working families and small businesses. And what it means, I got a summary of how many liters of super gas sold at the pump for the year 2024. And the liters were 457,165,211 liters. You know what that means? Immediately, with this price reduction, $500 million will remain in the pockets of persons who drive cars. Almost $500 million that persons can now use to provide better for their families, to help their children, their school supplies, whatever care they need to give. You have $500 million back into your pocket. Thanks to this government, when the UNC wins, everybody wins. Now, the budget has goodies and some not so goodies, but that is because fairness requires that everyone plays their part. For too long, the largest financial institutions have thrived, while ordinary citizens was under pressure. You shouldered more of the weight. And so we are introducing a very modest 0.25 levy on the assets of banks and insurance, ensuring that those who have benefited most from national growth, they contribute to sustaining national growth and our quality of life.
The opposition leader also weighed in on Finance Minister Dave Tanku's budget presentation. Let's hear a little bit of what she had to say.
This government clearly is still in a campaign mode, and they're giving the impression that over the last couple of months that they have been in office, that they have performed exceptionally well. It is very clear that they are misleading the public by giving the impression that they are giving this 10% over a 3-year period, and it is really a 6-year period.
A lot of the things the minister was saying were contrary to the policy that he enunciated at the beginning. So he said, people are complaining about high bank charges and bank fees, and we will deal with that by taxing the banks. That doesn't make any sense. The bank is a business, they go pass on that, the fees will go up. So that measure does not achieve the intention. Similarly, electricity. If you surcharge commercial and industrial enterprises, what are they going to do? They're going to pass on the additional electricity charge.
All right, former Finance Minister coming with their weighing in. To his left was former Junior Finance Minister Brian Manning, who is now to my left. The former Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Brian Manning. Great to have you. Thanks very much for making the time to be here tonight. To his left, Sanchi Chase, who is the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce's president. Then we have Dr. Dax Driver, the Energy Chamber president, joining us. Lots to unpack when it comes to the energy sector and the energy announcements that were made today. So, Dr. Driver, we do appreciate you making the time to come on. We have Pradeep Subrayan to his left, who is the chairman of the marketing committee at the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association. And we are honored to also have junior minister in the finance ministry, Minister Kennedy Swartzing, who's the Minister of Planning, Economic Affairs and Development here in Trinidad and Tobago. And joining us via Zoom from Tobago, Dr. Vanus James, the economist as well.
I'm ecstatic because the cost of living has been so
Dr.
high.
James, I'm going to start with you in Tobago. I'm hearing a little bit of an audio glitch just behind us. Might be a technical issue that we've just sorted. I'm going to start with you in Tobago, Dr. James. Only because yesterday you had some very interesting perspectives in the Sunday Business Guardian. You urged the government to shelve its promises made on the campaign trail for a bit. And you said that this country at this moment requires IMF policy type decisions. What is your perspective on what you heard from the finance minister today?
I've heard many budgets over my lifetime, including my lifetime as a practicing economist, and this budget fits into that same general mood. The first thing for a new government is that it appears not to have had the time to think through a number of critical things. First of all, why did the previous government fail? It can't just be put down to wickedness. It has to be about fundamental structural reasons that would have blocked all the ambitious things that Combs and Dr. Rowley used to be saying over the last 10 years. That has to be properly understood. And the research that I do provides a body of evidence to the government and to the country that there are really systemic barriers to diversification and barriers that cause us to remain vulnerable to the swings and dips of oil prices and gas prices and the performance of the energy and the integrated manufacturing sector together. So unless those are understood, you're budgeting in the dark, and I would urge the government to get on top of that set of issues pretty quickly. Otherwise, the promise that these budgetary measures will not yield success would be something they will have to face. Let me just make one last point there. I think the risk is real here that the budgetary deficit is underestimated. You're budgeting with a current oil price of $59 and a current gas price of $3. You're budgeting for an oil price of $73 and a gas price of somewhere near 4.25. Unless you anticipate that there will be trouble in Russia and problems created maybe in the Middle East so that gas and oil supplies will collapse and oil prices will shoot up and gas prices will shoot up over the next couple of rounds, I think you're making a huge bet on this budget deficit that is projected as $3.85 billion. I think that will be a very, very optimistic estimate of the deficit, and the government will be under pressure to keep those promises that it has laid out here.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Dr. James. I do want to bring you in here, Minister Swarat Singh. When the finance minister announced that he was pegging the budget to 73, automatically just went very quickly online to see what the price of Brent crude oil is for today, and it hovers around $63 a barrel. It's been hovering around $60 a barrel for some time now. Is the government, as Dr. James mentioned, being a little bit too optimistic about the price of oil?
No, for the last couple of years, and Brian will know that as well, the Ministry of Finance used an OPEC mix in order to create that price parity.
The last couple of years, there's been a war in Europe.
Right. No, but I'm saying is that is the formula we use to create that price arrangement. That formula we use is an OPEC mix. It's not the Brent crude. It's not the current listed price. It's an OPEC mix that we use to create a basket that we create that price, both of oil and gas. And that's what that mix has given us at this point in time. We don't just conjure up that price in our minds. We don't just simply go and say, Google and say, what is the existing price? Or go on Brent crude. We use that OPEC basket to create to set the price of oil and gas. That formula has been used in the past, and it's the same formula we use now.
Do you feel that formula was the recommended formula to go with this fiscal year, Brian?
Yeah, we believe these revenue projections are, I'd say, fantastic, to say the least, and we don't believe that they're achievable. There's so much here in this document where the numbers just don't seem to add up. We have a revenue projections of $55 billion. In a climate where the international energy price is somewhere around $55 a barrel at this point in time. We are still an energy economy, after all. How the government intends to get to that $55 billion revenue price, we are not sure. Also, we see that the government is giving with one hand, but taking with the other. Sure, you get a $1 reduction in the price of super fuel at the pump, but they're also taking by increasing the cost of LPG gas, which will affect everyone. Adding that tax to the banking system will affect everyone. The landlord tax that was added is a property tax by another name. and it's even higher than the proposed property tax that the previous government had been offering for the past decade, and which the current government had been fighting in opposition for at least the past 15 years. It is a property tax by another name.
Minister Swartzen?
You see, that is where, I dealt with one question and Brian went into 6 different things. At the end of the day, the landlord tax is a tax on income, not a property tax. And that is where I always find it be disingenuous when we say these things. If it is, call a spade a spade. The Minister of Finance laid out a measure that is going to tax persons who charge in or make income on their properties. So it is not a tax on your property, it is a tax on the income you derive from the use of that property. So please, let's not be disingenuous.
Tenants tonight will be worried that that cost will be passed down, they will bear that cost going forward. What do you tell tenants?
No, but at the end of the day, if it is that I'm renting somewhere, and in any event, there are 2 things. One is that, first of all, people will be paying tax on income, first and foremost. And secondly, at the end of the day, that creates a little bit of a competition. And if it is that you don't want to pay that, or you seek an alternative. So, it is disingenuous to claim that this is in any shape or form a property tax. Yeah. It is not a tax on your property, it is a tax on income, for which you should be paying a tax in any event.
Right. Brian, as I'm sure you remember, the previous property tax structure was based on the annual rental value. It was reduced to 2% on annual rental value of your property. This here is a tax on the rental value.
No, it's on a tax on your rental income.
On your rental income, which is
not on the rental value.
Akin to the rental value. It's the rental income. So if you are renting and the landlord has to pay a tax, he's going to pass it on clearly to the person residing at whatever is being rented out.
Let me get some opening thoughts from the president of the TNT Chamber, Mrs. Chase. Please tell me your thoughts on what you saw today.
In terms of the budget amount, I would want to agree somewhat with Brian. It is an ambitious figure, but I think the focus of the government is to set those new revenue streams. What the Chamber is keen to see is how that roll out in reality. The Chamber was quite appreciative of the fact that quite a number of our recommendations for driving the non-energy sector were incorporated, and I have to give my public gratitude and thanks to the Minister of Planning for ensuring that quite a number of the initiatives that we put forward to the government, where they can drive revenue in the non-energy sector, were incorporated in a deal with the establishment of the Export Academy with the IADB. That is one of the key recommendations of the Chamber, not just for bringing in the foreign exchange, but also driving growth in a sector that is not dependent on energy prices.
Dr. Driver?
Just perhaps to comment just on the issue around pricing. So not so much the oil price, but on the gas price. I think it's important for people to understand that the gas price which is used in the budget isn't the Henry Hub gas price which you see reported on the news the whole time. So the Henry Hub gas prices are low, have been low for a while, but our natural gas is not priced against Henry Hub anymore. It's mostly priced, the LNG exports are priced against Asian, 1/3 a Japan Korea price, 1/3 a European price, 1/3 Brent crude oil price. So we actually get prices higher than Henry Hub for our LNG. And then the prices for natural gas going into Point Lisas are based upon the prices of ammonia and methanol, and have been somewhat around Henry Hub and a little bit higher than Henry Hub. Those are brought down by the price that people pay, that the consumers, that the producers pay for natural gas, which goes to the electricity sector. So I'm not sure how the new surcharge is going to impact that. Hopefully it's going to go up, and there's a lot of contract negotiations at the moment around gas pricing. So to say that the $4 price is unrealistic, I think there's a lot more into it than just looking at the Henry Hub gas price. So it is that basket. So hopefully that will be the price that that can be realised. And gas is the most important price for the economy. So overall, I mean, there wasn't very much sort of new initiatives in the energy sector. There's continued announcements. We had the recent investments from Exxon. We've had a deep water bid round with the Chinese national oil company CNOOC coming in, and then this restarting the negotiations with Venezuela about Dragon gas and hopefully other fields as well. Those are all positive things. So hopefully we'll see fruits coming from that, and the gas production figures going up back above 3 BCF a day by 2027. That would be great for the economy. So let's hope that those production figures can be met. There is investment taking place at the moment, which should take us back to those levels. We hope. Things can always go wrong, so let's hope that they don't go wrong and we do get back above those levels.
Mr. Sobryan?
Yeah. I must commend the minister and his team. It's not an easy task, given the current situation. A lot of it, yes, one may say is optimistic, but one should be optimistic. I think given the global turmoil, it's really difficult to see, in the near future and predict, accurately. I think what I would like to maybe suggest, and I'm sure it's there, is a what-if situation. So, for example, in 6 months, if you don't get the $76, what if? What's the risk mitigating factors? And that should be measured and tracked so that you can say, okay, if I'm not getting the revenues, where am I going to cut in terms of the expenses? How am I going to shift the budget? So I think the budget is just one thing. I think what is more important is how do we manage going forward to manipulate and change numbers based on the reality of the day.
All right, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, super gas prices are down. However, tobacco prices along with alcohol prices are going up. What is the impact as Christmas and Carnival comes around? Stay with us.
Growing your food business begins here at Southern Food Basket Wholesale Distribution Center. The turnaround is fast, from container to cold storage to pickup trucks. And when we deliver, product integrity is maintained with our highly respected vehicle-powered chilling systems. So come on down to Southern Food Basket Wholesale Distribution Center, where a whole new experience awaits.
Let's do this. You can get the help you need to succeed with Rand Credit Union. You can believe that you can achieve. Big goals, small ones too. Rand Credit Union, we've got you. No more waiting, that won't do. Make someday today. One life, so make it good. Live the way you know you should. With Rand Credit Union, yes you could. Make someday today.
Live your best life today with Rand Credit Union.
Diwali specials at Food Basket, Arima, Chaguanas, Champlain, and Gulfview. Nestle reconstituted 1 liter milk, 2 for $24.95. Nestle's green butterfly milk, 250 ml, 3 for $18.95. Good and natural cream of wheat, $14.95. Potatoes, 10 pounds for $20. Onions, 4 pounds for $9.95. Supercow full cream milk powder, 800 gram, $37.95. Shub Diwali from Food Basket. 4 locations: Arima, Champlain, Chaguanas, and Gulfview.
Gaming Express Limited is a premium importer and retailer of the highest quality brand name electronics. We stock the widest range of PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, Samsung, and Apple devices and accessories. Visit us at Shop 52, Level 2, Gulf City Mall in San Fernando, or contact us by phone or WhatsApp message at 687-7480 or 301-9797 or 798-1280. Like our Facebook and Instagram pages for updates on products and services.
Plumbing problems? Don't guess. Call Plumbing Solutions at 628-4646. Proud to be serving Trinidad and Tobago for over 20 years. We do it all. Maintenance and repairs, new construction, sewer lines, inspection, drain cleaning, leak detection. We are licensed and insured. So call Plumbing Solutions at 628-4646.
Southern Food Basket. Quality food to fill your basket. Get it all at Southern Food Basket. Fresh goods on every aisle with best prices. For the best market around, high quality meat pound for pound. Get the best for less, start shopping. Go to Southern Food Basket. Shopping how you like it. High quality at the best prices. Every aisle just wide and spacious. So spend less at Southern Food Basket. Good food at great prices for sure. Come get what you're looking for.
We are your one-stop, most convenient, most helpful, most caring community pharmacy. Our pharmaceutical services include dispensing medicines, repeat dispensing, clinical governance. But we also have a fully stocked convenience store featuring our refreshment aisle, grocery lane, personal care products, toys, and supplies. We are most conveniently located out of the traffic, just 2 minutes off the highway in Heartland Plaza, in Devon Chaguanas. Contact us on 220-8705 or 470-5938 and visit us soon.
Zawali specials at Food Basket, Arima, Chaguanas, Champlain, and Gulfview. Nestle reconstituted 1 liter milk, 2 for $24.95. Nestle's green butterfly milk, 250 ml, 3 for $18.95. Good and natural cream of wheat, $14.95. Potatoes, 10 pounds for $20. Onions, 4 pounds for $9.95. Supercow full cream milk powder, 800 gram, $37.95. Shub Diwali from Food Basket. 4 locations: Arima, Champlain, Chaguanas, and Gulfview.
Welcome to Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
Do enjoy, Stacey. You want some coffee?
Can I have a bit?
Perfect, then.
That's exactly what we need.
Hi, who is this way?
Whatever you're here for, we're here for you. Stay smart at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites.
Ho, 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 ho. Start the season sweet with Jimmy Abood's annual Christmas in October sale. Get up to 60% off on curtains, sheet sets, floor mats, upholstery fabric, and more. Shop now at the last big sale of the year.
Magical Expressions Limited is the largest local importer and distributor of fresh cut stems, offering the widest range of beautiful flowers at the most affordable prices. Call us today at 701-6488, 701-6680, 728-6786, or visit our website to order.
Welcome to the Tire Club, the Caribbean's largest tire warehouse. Come into our warehouse where we stock all the top brands. All major brands for cars, SUVs, 4x4s, trucks, tractors, all in one location. Top brands like Gremax, Step Rising, Duron, Comfortsal, Firemax, and many others. Here at the Tire Club, purchase 4 tires, get free installation, free speed balancing, and a free complimentary t-shirt. Our expert team is ready to help, where quality, service, and value comes together.
Finance Minister Dave Tanku announcing steep increases on customs duties on alcohol and tobacco products. Under the new rates, duties on rum and spirits will rise from $79.25 to $158.50 of alcohol content. Beer from $5.14 to $10.28 by gravity, and cigarettes from $5.26 to $10.52 per pack of 20. Mrs. Spear-Chase, your reaction to that from a business chamber perspective?
Right, we are not surprised by the implementation of those taxes on those line items. That's traditional. You know, we expect each budget to come and have an announcement of increasing taxes on what we call vanity consumables. So rum, beer, cigarettes. Where our concern lies, though, is with the processing fees, the container processing fees, where we've seen a 100% increase. You're talking about an increase in the cost of business having to clear cargo from the ports. And we have to align that with the efficiency of the ports right now. I mean, earlier this morning, Dax and I were talking about the state of both ports and the level of inefficiency. So part of the address, I know the minister spoke about the digitization process and digitization of customs and excise division. But it will take some time to get there. But this implementation of this container processing fee, which is a 100% increase, is going to have an impact on the business community immediately.
I want to stick on the alcohol and tobacco for just one more minute, only because Trinidad and Tobago is a society of so many parties and social life in general. That will impact certain all-inclusive parties, carnival, Christmas parties to come. So from that regard, there will be an impact on the business community.
Indeed. I mean, we are a sociable society. Carnival and partying is part of our culture. And we have gone to the all-inclusive model of parties. So increase in the consumables for those types of events will definitely lead to an increase in cost. You know, how impactful it will be, we are going to see, because the cost is going to be passed on to the patrons. You know, the promoters, the event planners, they are not going to absorb the cost. So it really would be looking to see what effect it has on the attendance rate. I mean, we're trying to promote a carnival-like hub, 365 days a year. That's
Carnival City, so to speak.
Carnival City. That's what the Minister of Trade and Investment and Tourism has put forward. And it is a good idea because it's a model that is unique to Trinidad. And if within that model is, of course, the consumption of fair amount of alcohol, we would really see what impact it will have on not just the business community, but of course the attendance rate and participation.
Let's, Mr. O'Brien, let's talk a little bit about the container concerns that Mrs. Pierre-Chase would have brought forward. Does the TTMA share those concerns about the increase, the 100% increase?
Of course, it's going to impact in terms of the retail price, but my concern would be more of how do we control illicit trading, because you already have a fair percentage of illicit trading in that category. And once you execute that kind of increase, the door is a little more, wider to encourage illicit trading. So parallel to this, I would like to see some more initiatives around the illicit trading, so you have more a fair playing field. The category and increase is not an issue because that category is not a need; it's basically a want. So if you have the money and you have the purchasing power to purchase, it's really not an issue. But my take on it is more, how do you control the illicit to keep the equal playing field?
Minister Swartzing?
Well, two things. One is that together with that carnival seated in the Minister of Trade announced, he also announced a buy local campaign too. And at the end of the day, I think we have to be encouraged to buy local drinks. And in fact, when I went to TIC, in the Manufacturing Association, there are thousands, in fact, sorry, not thousands, but hundreds of small entrepreneurs who are producing wines and puncha creme and various other local products as well that a lot of us don't patronize. I mean, I'm always surprised of the quality of stuff that we as locals produce. So part, I think, of what we have to be encouraged to do, first of all, is to think locally, buy locally, and support local entrepreneurs. The second thing, of course, is that the Minister of Finance also announced a secure an application of the customs where I think we need to move or to help customs to become much more efficient. Now, part of what I think this will challenge us to do is to work to ensure that customs have the amount of staffing, which is something that they didn't have before, that they have been the new technologies, again, which they didn't have as well. And there's been a lack of investment in customs as an institution and the port on the whole. I think we need to do some of those things as well. So the issues that customs faced in the past, I think, are issues that we have to address irrespective of what is happening, and those are things that we're putting our minds to as well.
Mr. Sobrian's point on now creating this illicit market for not only tobacco but also the other goods that he would have spoken about, surely that's something the government will have to contemplate, how to stave off that market from forming in the next fiscal year.
Yeah. In fact, I'm told that especially the cigarettes market, there's a significant black market for cigarettes that already exist. I mean, it seems that in the last, since I've not been in Trinidad, there are lots of black market things, and cigarettes is one of them. So I think, you know, if my memory serves me right, there was an illegal quarry that the police shut down, I think, a couple of days ago.
Over the weekend.
So we really have to be a lot more vigilant in terms of all the things that exist that we take for granted. But think about the people who patronize those things. I mean, the amount of us, when we go to these, like to buy these things, if we see that it's black market, we still patronize it. So it's not just simply the black market exists. The black market exists because there's a market for it. And people are availing themselves of it as well. So it's both an enforcement and a usage issue.
Dr. Vanus James, I want to bring you in here to get your quick thoughts on steep increases on the customs and excise duties when it comes to the tobacco industry as well as the alcohol industry.
Sin taxes, as we heard before, those are the easy taxes to impose, and they would be attractive to the government in this tight revenue environment. So if I were the government, I would look very closely at imposing them myself. But I think what would concern me more is any blanket increase on the container fees and so on, because what that would mean is you're essentially raising the costs of doing business in the country, which imports so much to do business. And that is not a risk-free issue. In this environment here, the more pressure you put on the businesses, the more risk you create that many of them would go under. So although it's not a huge thing, if you are living by importing the inputs that you are selling to the public, you're on an edge, and that should concern the government. So I would keep an eye on that, and in particular keep an eye on the consequences for the small business and the import-intensive business environment. That's the way I would look at those two issues combined.
Mr. Manning?
Yeah, Dr. James is absolutely correct. And when we say that the government is giving with one hand and taking with another, yes, you're going to pay less at the pump for fuel, but this one tax here on imported goods. I believe in the last fiscal year, we had $1 billion of imported food in Trinidad and Tobago. We had $3 billion on credit card purposes, uses. A lot of that is for imported goods. We import so much what we consume in Trinidad and Tobago that if you double these fees, you are literally increasing the cost of almost everything in Trinidad and Tobago. That coupled with the increased surcharge on commercial and industrial electricity, plus increase in the tax on banks, plus in the new property tax by another name, is going to increase the cost of living in this country dramatically for some of the more vulnerable people in this country.
Is that a concern? And it surely has to be, Minister Swartzing, that cost will be passed on to the consumer.
Well, I mean,
and I know that Mr. O'Brien makes the point that these are not so much needs as they are wants, but then Dr. James makes a very good point in how difficult it now makes doing business, or discouraging it does for doing business in this country.
No, listen, I mean, and Brian continues to go on ad infinitum with things that I'm not sure, you know, but let me just say two things. One is that at the end of the day, the emphasis must be on developing SMEs, developing the revenue in the non-energy sector, and making sure that we can manufacture local. In fact, when people think that, and especially when you talk about diversification, and we need to quit, we have had a significant amount of diversification. It just hasn't been developed enough. We have had focus on SMEs, but not enough. We have had focus on producing things locally, but not enough. And we need to do more of those things. So in my view, any disincentive for importation is an incentive to produce at home to buy local, produce local, and make sure that that's where we put our focus and efforts and energies on. Now, is it that things coming in, but when things are imported and you don't want to pay that price, don't buy it. Don't take it. You know, so to act as if that when these things come, people automatically have no choices, that is not true. I mean, I keep making the point that when you go to places like TIC, for example, when you go to Scale Up that UTC had and so on, there's so many of our people that produce things locally. But when our preference have always been that food basket or the importation of that food bill and so on, that Brian and they constantly like to refer to, there is no reason why when you go to a supermarket or when you go if that's what your preference is, that's what your taste is, then you pay the price. But I still think constantly that we have to be, and that's why when you think cumulatively of the measures that the Minister of Finance put, I think what would have been lost on some people was he also spoke to what the Minister of Trade has been purporting, that we need to be much more conscious of how we could support our local markets.
So in effect, is it one of the strategies aimed at reducing or discouraging the high food import bill that we have in this country?
We have to.
No, I know that you have to, but is the 100% markup on the containers at the port one of the government strategies in reducing the food import bill, as you are saying now?
Two things. One is that at the end of the day, I think we have to produce strategies to reduce FX, the flight of FX. We have to produce strategies that will reduce the cost of or the amount of things that we import and use. We have to produce strategies that will make people recognize how we can, in fact, our investment strategy has to be in what is required to build our local economy. That has to be, that's the thing that, for example, when I was at the Chamber of Industry and Commerce, the majority of members from the Chamber are SMEs. When you go to the Manufacturing Association, the majority of persons in the Manufacturing Association are SMEs. Mm-hmm. So that's where I think our bigger bang for the buck has to be.
Mr. Manning, and then
I would say, if this is a measure designed to curtail our food import bill, it's very clumsy. Because it's not just food being affected here. It's everything that's imported, whether it's medicine, school books, you name it. We import so much in Trinidad and Tobago. And it will all be affected by this one taxation here, container processing fees. It's a 100% increase on everything imported in Trinidad and Tobago. That's medicine, books, healthcare, you name it, not just food.
Yeah, and that's a point that I'd really like to nail home, Minister Swartzing, that we could talk, your statement was geared more towards the products and the goods that are being brought into Trinidad, but it's so much more in those containers on the port 2 streets away from us than just food items.
Yeah, but again, you see, when you think in terms of how we import and what we import and so on, at the end of the day, we have to be more efficient in what we do. We have to be more efficient in terms of how long those containers stay on the port, the fees that are being charged. We have to be much more efficient. And so, part of what I think our focus has been since coming into government is doing 2 things, especially as you would have heard the Minister of Finance refer to it, fixing customs and fixing BIR. Those are 2 areas that have been underserved by the last administration, where, for example, when we came in, scanners in the port wasn't working, the Assicuda wasn't upgraded. When it goes down, there are no backup systems. Didn't have enough staff to even inspect containers and so on. So since we have come into government, we have made it our point of duty to make sure that these operate more efficiently. Now, to operate more efficiently, you also have to increase the amount of investments you make down there. You can't on the one hand want things to improve and not have to invest in making that happen.
Mr. O'Brien?
And if I were to add to that, if we get the efficiencies with the additional cost, it should neutralize itself, because right now with the Assicuda Plus, lower or eliminate demurrage rent, you have the efficiency in terms of paying online, cut out, the paperwork, the man hours, etc. If that could balance off with the 500 and the doubling up of the fees, then it's welcome. But I think it has to come with the efficiencies that the minister is speaking about.
All right, let's take a quick break here. When we come back, though, we still have a lot to discuss. The finance minister promising to bring legislation to deal with transfer pricing. That should make for an interesting discussion. But first, let's check in to see what people have been saying about the budget on the streets.
I'm ecstatic because the cost of living has been so high. So any way that we can save, it's wonderful.
Every dollar adds up. So I think it would help a bit, because you're not going to put $1 gas, you see. So, I think it would do something. Not what we expected, but I think it would do something.
I think that is very excellent that they would have dropped the price of gas. I believe now people will be able to afford transport a little bit easier.
Anything that is dropping in this country is good for me. Even though it's by $1, I still find the government still did something, because when you look at last couple of years in budget, everything has been raising tremendously. We had no drop in nothing at all. So this, for me, is a win.
Very good, very good.
Why?
Easier for me, less money to spend. Well, I mean, it benefits me because, I drive around all the time, so I appreciate it.
We get something, we still have a hope that something better will come, because we didn't have nothing for 9 years. And the poor people, all we begging for and asking for is a drop in food prices. And if the price drop, poor people could go to work and still have $1. And I'm happy for that. And I hope that betterment will come soon. I'm happy for it.
Question: how much does a funeral go for these days? I guarantee the figure you're thinking is way smaller than the actual cost. Because even though life is priceless, death is real expensive. But CUNA Caribbean's Family Indemnity Plan can help for things like sudden funeral costs, plus the other bills left behind that could threaten your finances. And imagine, for a monthly payment of less than $70, you could cover up to 9 family members. And you don't have to take a medical exam to sign up. So don't stick. Get the Family Indemnity Plan. Why? Because it's a good thing. Trust me. CUNA Caribbean Insurance. For all people. Terms and conditions apply.
Just got your CXC or CAPE results? Then start your degree today at CTS College and choose from many of our pathways in business management, business administration, human resource management, marketing, finance, management information systems, computer engineering, computing and information systems. Full and partial scholarships are available. CTS College, where education is beyond academics.
Whether you're an athlete, a business professional, or simply someone who values their health, Omega Excel can empower you to keep doing what you love. Don't let joint discomfort hold you back.
Live long, stay strong with the Excel brand.
Muscle Russell.
Richmond Park for the home that is uniquely you. Choose your own contemporary design, including 2-story homes that suits your lifestyle. Enjoy family walks in our pet-friendly spacious community with scenic views of the Northern Range. Choose your own parcel of land and create your own dream home, including fixtures, fittings, and aesthetics that define who you are. Richmond Park, where home isn't just a place, it's a feeling. Mattress Road, Cunupia, Airport, and shopping centers nearby. Call 355-7703.
Yo, Dominica, this is Vibes Cartel, and I'll be in Dominica for the 25th edition of the World Creole Music Festival. You better come see me, World Boss, October 24th to 26th. Everything fixed. Beer hits. XOXO, my love is very special. If you want it, come to Dominica. What is on the menus?
Today I am at Prem Singh's. Let's see how many items I can cross off my Diwali and Navratri checklist. Well, I think I checked off everything on my Navratri and Diwali checklist. Mission completed, only at Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan.
Would would you recommend this product to younger people?
Age doesn't really matter. So I think if I was 17, 18 and I get introduced to these products, I would maybe be Superman. So
More Superman?
More Superman.
Absolutely outstanding. Meet Team TNT, Martin Lumpkin, Marsha Huggins, Natasha Baron Ramtahal, Suan Marchand, and Jiwan Durga. Built on experience, focused on you. On October 14th, vote Team TNT, the leadership you trust for the future you deserve.
Finance Minister Devindranath Thakur promising to bring legislation to tackle transfer pricing here in Trinidad and Tobago. It's something that we've talked about for a number of years. He's promising to act on it in this fiscal year. I want to bring Dr. Dax Driver in. Firstly, Dr. Driver, this is a topic that you are acutely aware of, and we've spoken about this quite a number of times as well. How did you meet the news that this potential legislation could be tabled soon?
Yeah, well, actually, something we have recommended at various times in the past. I think that it's a good move. I think what we want to do is create clarity about what the rules are around transfer pricing, align ourselves with the international standards around transfer pricing, because at the moment a lot of it is sort of left a bit up to a bit of guesswork and negotiation between companies and the Board of Inland Revenue. So I think that it's a good move, and it's something that should be done, and we're pleased to see that moving forward.
According to the Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago has lost $17.5 billion due to transfer pricing. How quickly would you like to see this tabled in Parliament, Minister Swartzing?
Well, I mean, as Mr. Jacks would have just alluded to, we still have some mechanics to work out. But obviously, I think this is a very, very important thing for us. I mean, there are quite a few things that we have been lagging behind. This is one of them. NIB is another. For example, the actual report was there sitting down in the Ministry of Finance for about, 6-7 years. So there are quite a few measures that we have that could have been implemented faster. I don't know how long we're talking about transfer pricing now.
Oh, decades.
Think about the amount of monies that we have lost in non-revenue for lack of staffing and so on. I mean, and you could go on. VAT is another one that hasn't been working for a while now. And we keep persisting in some of these things and not doing it. So I think what the Minister of Finance have signaled is a clear commitment and a clear intention from behalf of the Prime Minister and this administration and by this Minister of Finance that these are some of the things that we will be tackling as a matter of urgency.
But you did make a very key point there, Dr. Driver. Part of that requires really reforming the Board of Inland Revenue because it goes hand in hand. Yes. You can't bring the legislation, but the Board of Inland Revenue is still very much understaffed and inefficiently operated. So really it calls for a ground-up approach from BIR.
Right, but you see, again, if my memory serves me correctly, I don't have a document before me, but the Minister of Finance would have spoken to or alluded to the fact that we have begun to address some of the deficiencies in BIR.
Yes.
In terms of the governance process, strengthening the board, strengthening the meeting requirements. Staffing.
He did.
I mean, I can tell you that by September, beginning of September, we would have brought in about 64 additional staff members where no tax auditors or field auditors, they are now staffing. We're doing another 100 persons. And then he had, I think, alluded to the fact that by February 2026, that they will have a number of staff inside of there. So we are moving at a very rapid rate, being supported by the DP and other arms of the public service. So Gen Tax, for example, the tax system, have not been upgraded for about 10 versions. So we are now, procurement have started to have gone out to start that upgrade of Gen Tax and so on. So a lot of things are happening all at the same time.
He did mention as well that there will be specialized training for BIR staff, particularly as it regards to transfer pricing. So there's going to be a specific focus in a department, I assume, at BIR for transfer pricing. Mr. Manning, I'll give you the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, transfer pricing is something that the previous administration had been working on for quite some time. What was the hold-up is really the complexity of it all. We've been working with the international agencies, multinational agencies, such as the World Bank and other agencies to have this legislation done properly. it was difficult. But what they all agreed on was that the TTRA, which modernized the tax collection system of this country and really connected the BIR to customs, was the way to go. We anticipated that we would have registered an additional $10 billion in taxes annually from the TTRA. There's a revenue authority in Guyana, one in Barbados, one in Jamaica. And then what it does is it modernizes the whole tax collection system to make it easier. You would have also paid higher salaries to many of the persons there. The PSA took it to the Privy Council. The Privy Council said that it would have been an independent body and one that would have been free from political influence. What the government is trying to do is use outdated tools with the current BIR to try to modernize the system with a new
the government argues that it has saved scores of jobs in the process.
It didn't save any jobs. The TTR is also going to employ a significant number of people at higher salaries. It is a modernization of the tax collection system. What the current BR does not do is connect to the customs. It doesn't connect to the modern ways of collecting taxation. It isn't electronic. It isn't online. None of that is there. And that is why countries around the world, including those right here in this hemisphere, Guyana, Barbados, Jamaica, have all moved over to a revenue authority. The TTRA was meant to modernize that system and to ensure that everyone in this country paid their fair share. Right now we have a system where the middle class is really being overtaxed. The persons who can avoid taxes in this country are really professionals in private practice and wealthy business persons. They are not paying their fair share. The TTRA was to ensure that those persons were brought to heel and made to do just that.
Minister Swartz.
Well, it's amazing that after 10 years, they're still operating with the fact that they couldn't get it done during that time, but it's still a good thing to do.
It was being taken to court by the current government.
The other thing about it is that at the end of the day, first of all, they still couldn't find a way to link the Revenue Authority to Customs, because Customs was still a quasi branch of the TTRA because Customs had to remain in the public service, and so they would have had a mix of persons who staff from the Revenue Authority and person in the Customs, because Customs have two different functions, revenue and border protection. But be that as it may, the fact is that the Revenue Authority is no more. We are going to fix it, just as we have been, just as we fixed the National Insurance Board, just as we are able to start to fix Customs and fix BIR in ways in which they could not have contemplated, because they, again, sat back and thought about these Rolls-Royce solutions when the answers were very, very clearly before them. At the end of the day, these are not as complex as Brian may think they are. We are able to find ways to make sure that not only are we able to train people. I mean, there's lots of help, lots of examples outside. It's not rocket science. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. And so we have had persons from ECLAC, persons from the World Bank, persons from different institutions. In fact, if I were to draw a reference to the World Bank, when we met with the World Bank had said to us that under the substantive minister, when Brian was there, didn't want to meet with the World Bank, run them from Trinidad and reported them to Washington. Now we're on the verge of signing the establishment agreement for the World Bank to bring them back to Trinidad, because there's lots of technical help that we can get from the World Bank and other places to get some of these things done.
So that's very strange, because I met with the World Bank on several occasions while I was in office on various issues. So it's strange to hear that. That's news to me.
All right. I do want to switch our attention now, and I want to bring back Dr. James into the equation. CPEP and the unemployment relief program are both now things of the past in Trinidad and Tobago. The finance minister confirming today they will be replaced by what he says will be full-time jobs. Did that announcement surprise you, Dr. James?
But if I may just add a thought on the discussion.
Please.
It would be to say that the conversation has to take into account the fact that those who practice transfer pricing come with a lot of bullets in their guns, and they're going to be watching what we're trying to do and adjusting and so on, to take advantage of the opportunities that transfer pricing provides them. So we have to be thoughtful about that and therefore block all the loopholes, which is partly what I think was some of the thinking, inappropriate as some of that might be, on this Revenue Authority story. But in any case, even if that is a thing of the past, you've got to keep an eye on those loopholes. This is an old story in the Caribbean space. Now, on the matter of CPEP and URP and so on, these are long overdue for genuine reforms in any case. And what we've got to do is understand the heart of the problem. The heart of the problem is that we have a lot of undereducated, underemployed workers in the country for whom we have to find something to do. And when you throw them out of CPEP and you throw them out of URP and you don't reform those programs, you have to ponder on wherever you put them that you need to work out ways to get productivity up in whatever they're going to end up doing. So it's not enough to be saying that you're going to create new jobs. That's important, and even closing CPEP and URP might itself be sensible. But wherever you're heading, keep a close eye on the need to grow productivity in the places where these people are going. And the fundamental answer to that, in the end, heads you right back towards diversification of the economy.
Thank you very much, Dr. James. Mrs. Pierre-Chase, I just wonder if you worry that the closure now, first we thought it was the suspension of these programs, now it's been completely closed, and in between April 28th and now, these people have gotten grants according to the Finance Ministry, but they remain out of work. From a business community perspective, that must keep you up at night when that many people are left unemployed.
Well, I don't want to say it keeps me up at night, but I want to take up the point that Dr. James just raised, is putting those persons into productive use, productive labor, and the programs that they were in clearly did not offer that. So I think that is where the government can be commended. And I want to pivot that into conversation on agriculture. You know, the Minister of Finance has signaled that as one of the sectors that will see focused attention. And the conversation started with the CARICOM goal. We didn't achieve it in 2025. It's now set for 2030, where we're looking to reduce our food import bill. So as an alignment with that is an investment in the agricultural sector. We have to put our focus,
like to
and
see
it's not just
those
farming,
people...
and that's where we were sidetracked. When we speak agriculture, we just think it's farming. It's the entire value chain. Agri-processing, which is a critical part of the agri-sector, was not part of the conversation because we only directed our focus on the farming aspect of it, right. And those persons can come into productive use into that sector.
But that is something, Minister Swartz, saying that is to come. What we haven't heard from the government has been, what are these people going to do in the interim? Was it, in retrospect, in hindsight, was it a bad decision to suspend the URP and CPEP and reforestation programs and then now have to figure out what these full-time jobs may be?
No, but you're presupposing that there wasn't a plan. No, at the end of the day...
But we haven't seen one in between June, July, right. And then September.
Because, again, we are in the budgeting cycle. So at the end of the day, we are now in a process to put our budget, our policies, our plans in perspective and in place.
What are the plans for CPEP, URP, and reforestation program?
Right, so two things. As the Minister of Finance said, again, in the budget, that he's creating an unemployment fund that he will administer from finance. That's one, to support those who need support. But secondly, and more importantly, he did allude to the fact that the Prime Minister will make an announcement in her budget contribution to speak to, because I mean she did speak to it in a more holistic way in one of our Monday night forum when she did allude to the fact there's so many vacancies in the public service.
Right, but Dr. James was making the point that some of these people who are within the CPEP URP programs are not qualified to hold those positions within the public service.
Well, again, if you look at all the positions in the public service, from daily rated workers all the way up, I mean, it's very difficult to think that persons won't have opportunities, but there may be some who can't. But there's another area, too, that I think have oftentimes eluded us. The fact is, and I think Sanji may be more aware of this than I am, but sometime over the last 7 or 8 years, the former government decided to close down Hotel School. Now, Hotel School was shut down. Hotel School used to have about 700 students a year. The service sector is the single largest sector for employment opportunity in the country. And a lot of our businesses, people are unable to find persons to work. I remember when I used to run high-low food stores, we used to have to constantly find ways to incentivize people to come in just to be cashiers, merchandisers. I mean, you name it. If you look at our growing retail sector and so on, there are still persons, you still go there, and you still need so much amount of workers, but we shut down the hotel school. We shut down the area that creates support for the service sector. If you think about Tobago, for example, if you want to grow the tourism industry and so on, why it is that we would have been so short-sighted to have to shut. So in other words, there are places where we can get meaningful employment opportunity, meaningful jobs, living wage when it comes both in the public and in the private sector, but we constantly find ourselves shutting down these programs for reasons that I still
the government, one second, Mr. Mann.
Sure.
The government, would you say that the government tonight, you can tell the nation that the government has a solid plan for the tens of thousands of workers that were sent home from these programs, and that by the end of the year, perhaps early next year, that these people will be back working again, as opposed to getting grants and from the unemployment relief fund?
Again, let me say two things. In the Prime Minister's press conference, she alluded to it. In the Minister of Finance budget speech, he spoke to it, and the Prime Minister will make an announcement to deal specifically with that area.
Mr. Mann.
Yeah, that sounded like a yes or no question, Brian, but that's not what we got. If there's one thing that we have seen in the past few months, was the value of the CPEP and URP programs. As soon as those programs were shut down, we have garbage all over this country. We have 10-foot-tall bush everywhere, all over San Fernando. We had flooding in areas where we've never had flooding before. CPEP and URP had a meaningful value add to this country and this economy. But
it was in dire need of reform. It was in dire need of reform.
Reform it, but they were never given the respect that they deserve. And unfortunately, this government has callously put all of these people on the unemployment line. In any country, there's going to be a swath of people who are either temporarily unemployed or in some cases unemployable. CPEP gave a lot of people, thousands, tens of thousands of people in this country a meaningful living and a way to live a life that they could be proud of. Instead, this government has put them all on the breadline. They now have to go to the social welfare office and beg for unemployment relief every month. That is not how any of them want to live, and that is not the way they lived before. We have had evictions across San Fernando East in the past few months from persons being unable to pay their rent, being unable to pay their mortgages, people who were making an honest living all of this time. The program wasn't shut down for corruption. That is nonsense. It was a cost-cutting measure by this government, and it was also punitive action against these CPEP workers.
I really try to be respectful, and I really don't like to call people out, but that is high-class foolishness. At the end of the day, there are two things that are important. One is that people were paid in CPEP up to the end of August. The last month in the fiscal year was September. First thing. Secondly, this is the first opportunity that this government has had to present a budget. The third thing, of course, is that there's significant amount, whether people want to admit that there's corruption or not, there was a significant amount of support for the crime that would have taken place in Trinidad and Tobago based on these programs. Now, you don't have to accept it, you don't have to like it, but that's the truth, because facts are stubborn things. So at the end of the day, the programs as we had them in the levels of what they have become was beyond the reform, and we have to think about what do we do with them. Now, there's no easy way to deal with some of these things, because for far too long we have all complained that we have created these make-work programs where we have created a dependency syndrome on the state to fund these programs, and in fact what we found that we were funding crime, funding criminal activities. Now, there are lots of persons who would have benefited from all these CPEP contracts. But what this government, under this Prime Minister, decided to do was focus on meaningful jobs, focus on where we can, because in all the vacancies that exist, and I think about 20,000 of them, there are opportunities for persons if they so choose to do, and there is support for those who can't find it otherwise.
Dr. James, from what you've heard between Mr. Manning and Minister Swartzing, any thoughts you care to share with us?
hear the conversation. I'm an economist, and the way I think about it is you have 40, 50,000, whatever the number is, of persons who are undereducated, and wherever you want to put them, you have to be thinking about creating more productive opportunities. So first of all, you have to be thinking about dealing with the undereducation so they can move into better jobs. And then you have to be thinking about diversifying the structure of the economy so that there is a natural process of creating these better jobs. Now, if you don't know that there are deep-seated barriers to the diversification of the economy, then you will think it's possible. So there's information we want to share with the government, this current government, about the nature of those barriers, so it could be better informed as to how to deal with these kinds of problems, which are endemic to the country, really. The government is right that you have to deal with them. You have to deal with this particular batch of workers. The story is that if you're running an economy of the kind that we have, and you are having challenges with your diversification, there is no natural flow of such workers into better jobs, and you have to figure out the kind of policy arrangements required to both diversify the economy and deal with the underemployment and the undereducation at the same time.
All right, let's take a quick break here on the program, but when we come back, Tobago gets $3 billion to run its affairs over the next fiscal year. When we come back, we'll talk to the panel about that allocation.
Question: how much does a funeral go for these days? I guarantee the figure you're thinking is way smaller than the actual cost. Because even though life is priceless, death is real expensive. But CUNA Caribbean's Family Indemnity Plan can help for things like sudden funeral costs, plus the other bills left behind that could threaten your finances. And imagine, for a monthly payment of less than $70, you could cover up to 9 family members. And you don't have to take a medical exam to sign up. So don't stick. Get the Family Indemnity Plan. Why? Because it's a good thing. Trust me. CUNA Caribbean Insurance. For all people. Terms and conditions apply.
Millions of people are attacked by harmful mouth bacteria. The root cause of bad breath, gum problems, cavities, plaque, and tartar. That's why Colgate combined the best science and technology in Colgate Total. Unlike others, its superior formula fights bacteria and creates a powerful protective barrier for up to 24 hours to prevent them from coming back. Take control of your oral health with Colgate Total.
We are your one-stop, most convenient, most helpful, most caring community pharmacy. Our pharmaceutical services include dispensing medicines, repeat dispensing, clinical governance. But we also have a fully stocked convenience store featuring our refreshment aisle, grocery lane, personal care products, toys, pet supplies. We are most conveniently located out of the traffic, just 2 minutes off the highway in Heartland Plaza in Devonshire Gornas. Contact us on 220-8705 or 470-5938 and visit us soon.
Bright Ideas is doing it big this Diwali, and it's all happening under the tent. 50% off curtains, flowers, ornaments, and vases. 25 to 50% off mats and rugs. 25% off all lighting fixtures. Plus, unbeatable specials on small and large appliances. Don't miss it. Once it's gone, it's gone. The Bright Ideas Diwali Expo is on now, and you've never seen savings like this. Bright Ideas, located at Point Fortin, Princestown, Rio Claro, Laramie, Marabella, Curep, Tiggermartin, and Chaguanas.
You can make your goals unfold, go get it. You can live your dream, join the team, let's do this. You can get the help you need to succeed with Rand Credit Union. You can believe that you can achieve. Big goals, small ones too. Rand Credit Union, we've got you. No more waiting, that won't do. Make someday today. One life, so make it good. Live the way you know you should. With Rand Credit Union, yes you could. Make someday today.
Live your best life today with Rand Credit Union.
In sacred moments, only the finest will do.
Gold medal ghee. Pure ghee, pure devotion. Taste the gold medal difference today.
Nature's Ways Alive Kids Gummies are multivitamin gummies meant to support the development of children's bodies like their bones, muscles, joints, brain, heart, and also their immune health. Choose Alive Kids Gummies by Nature's Way because they deserve it.
Diwali specials at Food Basket, Arima, Shagwana, Chamflair, and Gulview. Cook's brand pure vegetable ghee, 1 pound, $24.95. 2 kilogram, $99. Pure coconut oil, 700 ml, $17.95. Jolly Foods granulated sugar, 1800 gram, $19.95. Chana, 5 pound, $20. Save $9.95. Cocoa, 2 liter assorted, 3 for $20. Wax deers, case $1.99. Shop Diwali from Food Basket. 4 locations: Arima, Chamflair, Chaguanas, and Gulview.
You can make your goals unfold, go get it. You can live your dream, join the team, let's do this. You can get the help you need to succeed with Rand Credit Union. You can believe that you can achieve it. Big goals, small ones too. Rand Credit Union, we've got you. No more waiting, that won't do. Make someday today. One life, so make it good. Live the way you know you should. With Rand Credit Union, yes you could. Make someday today.
Live your best life today with Rand Credit Union.
In the last fiscal year, Tobago asked central government for $3.956 billion. They got $2.5 billion. In this fiscal year, Finance Minister Dave Tanku has given an allocation of $3.72 billion to Tobago. Our Tobago correspondent Elizabeth Gonzalez has been talking to the Tobago Division Chairman Curtis Williams. Let's hear what he has to say.
I'm here with the Tobago chairman of the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Industry and Commerce, Mr. Curtis Williams. He had a chance to listen to the budget. When I came to do the interview this afternoon, he was actually smiling already. Tobago got about $3.72 billion. This has been described as the largest allocation to the island in history. How do you think that money should be spent, Mr. Williams?
Well, 6.3 of the national pie is a real huge sum for Tobago, and we just want to say thanks to the central government for taking Tobago needs into consideration. We, the business community, must say thanks, and now it's up to the THA now. We want to see how the THA is going to spend this money. So the THA, the finance secretary, have to sit with her team and come up with real meaningful plans as to spend this money on Tobago's development. We know there are some low-hanging fruits that they can take care of immediately, and I would like them to address these low-hanging fruits. That is treating with some payments of service providers that they may slip in the last couple months gone by, and they may be the contractors in them. There are some of them who anticipate some funding to be coming to them, so they're going to treat with those. And we also want to look forward to how the projects in Tobago and how they're going to deliver on the projects. So because we know for a fact that with the opening of the A&R Robinson Terminal building in the next quarter, it will be a buzz in Tobago. Tobago will be on fire. It will be a buzz. So we expect that the THA to be mindful of that and start to do things in a prudent manner going forward. We look forward to that. I like the phase, the smart money phase. That's an interested phase, and it must say, and it must endorse that the hiccups in doing business in Tobago. We're talking about the EMA and all those other institutions that give you all that red tape, and the government is unhinging those obstacles, and I'm happy about that, to see that flowing. The thing that struck me most is to have a representative on all these financial state companies, Exim Bank, Republic Bank Limited, First Citizen Bank. I was moved by that. That one blew me apart. So now I see Tobagonians could be there to represent Tobago and the desired financial needs for the business community on the island, because sometimes these boards don't understand the process or the unities that goes on with you.
Tobago Business Chamber President Curtis Williams talking to our reporter Elizabeth Gonzalez. They're reacting to $3.72 billion out of the national budget allocated to Tobago. Dr. Vanus James, your reaction to $3.72 billion, 6.3% of the national budget going to Tobago?
Well, I don't quite look at it the way Curtis is looking at it, because I was one of the DRC commissioners, and I can tell you what we intended was not a percentage to Tobago as much as a percentage to the THA. That's the 2.9 billion. That's the first comment I would make. That's the 5%. Credit to the government that it has decided to move the agenda in that way. But I listened to the minister carefully. And what the minister has done here is to say that he embraces, without any adequate scrutiny in my mind, knowing and living in Tobago, knowing how the economy works here, he embraces what the THA has put forward as to the logic behind the request. Now, this is a point that goes to the way we govern the whole country. If the central government cannot screen and scrutinize how public funds are being spent anywhere in the public place, and then you get what we got for 9 years under Cominbert. And now this minister is simply saying, well, we agree with what the THA is saying, let's go ahead and spend the money. I know for a fact, studying the national economy, that there is a reason spending on development in Tobago produces no fruit and hasn't produced fruit for 127 years. And that fundamental reason is that when you make policy in Trinidad to drive the economy via oil and gas with limited success on diversification, the same barriers to diversification in Trinidad are barriers to the development of tourism in Tobago. So there is a genuine risk that the $600 million more of spending on development that the THA would approximately get out of all of this would not yield any fruit. And so we need to change the way we are thinking about policy making in the country, in Trinidad, in order to allow that money to be spent wisely and fruitfully in Tobago. And that, I think, is something the country and the government in Tobago and in Trinidad has to think a lot about.
Mr. Manning, the allocation for the THA over the last 10 years has been it's been a very touchy topic, particularly under Watson Duke and Valley Augustine, demanding of former Finance Minister Cominbert a larger piece of the pie. That piece of the pie was $2.5 billion in the last fiscal year that Finance Minister Cominbert would have presented that budget. Were you shocked to see $3.72 billion?
No, in fact, we were very happy to see Tobago receive a larger allocation. That's what we've always wanted. What we've been saying, if you remember, the previous PNM government had introduced to Parliament a Tobago autonomy bill. And in that bill, there was a constitutional requirement for Tobago to receive at least 6.8% of the national budget, which is far superior to the current enshrined amount of about 4.35%. So we wanted to see Tobago receive a larger allocation of funds. We wanted to see it done in a proper way and to also give Tobago the autonomy that it has asked for and deserved. This bill, of course, was blocked in Parliament for many years, but we are happy to see Tobago receive a larger allocation.
What does it
and also
say?
Keep in mind, it's not just the, as Dr. James rightfully said, it's not just the sums submitted to the THA, but also every single line ministry will also have a vote in there dedicated to Tobago. So that's not the only funds that Tobago would receive.
It's interesting to hear you say that, essentially, especially with less than a year later after the former finance minister would have delivered his budget presentation, that you are happy that Tobago would have gotten 3.72, when in reality the former finance minister was saying that this is what we can afford to give to Tobago.
At the time, yes, and that's why we are saying that many of the promises made by this current government that we have seen in this document, that we have seen in the election manifesto, it doesn't add up. We see revenue numbers that don't make sense. There's no major significant additional revenues here other than increased taxes or new taxes, which is exactly what they had vehemently fought against the entire time in opposition.
I have
so
to
the
also
numbers don't add up. In fact, we believe that this budget is strictly designed so that this government can access the HSF within the next fiscal year.
I have to also tell you that the $3.72 billion comes at a very interesting time. There's a THA elections on the horizon in Tobago, and that in itself, and I'll pose the question to Minister Swartzing as well, it's a very interesting time for Tobago to get such a wonderful share of the pie, Minister Swartzing.
Well, just as things don't add up, it don't add up to me that after 10 years, things don't add up to them. Of all the things that they would have liked to do, that they had planned to do, and they would still like to do.
And were blocked in court by the current government.
It's amazing that it's still 10 years after that's the narrative. Let me say this. And in terms of the HSNF, I mean, again, I want to completely reject that. Do not judge us by your standard. That's what you did, that's not what we will do. The other thing too, and I think Dr. James alluded to the fact that there are two things that you have to look at. One is that for a very long time, especially when you look across ministries how it is structured, the Prime Minister did three things that are very, very critical. One is that she created a cluster in national security that deals with crime, in terms of disaggregating some of the big issues that national security had to deal with and putting defense, justice, and so on, and giving it all its focal point. She did a similar thing when it comes to finance and economic development by creating a cluster with trade, finance, and myself. What that has done is that it has brought a focus on two areas that I think we had oftentimes lacked. In the former administration, and probably under, I'm not so sure how much influence Brian would have had as a junior Minister of Finance, whether he was included in some of the conversations, but I can tell you that in past PNM administrations, planning played a very, very small role and not a very decisive role. In this administration, both planning, and that's why it's planning, implementation in terms of trade and industry and tourism, as well as finance, coming together when we meet on a weekly basis to make sure not only do we create better plans, but that we have the capacity to implement those plans. Because the issue that Dr. James alluded to is the fact is not simply the allocation, but how you use the allocation to make meaningful contributions and investments in the lives of the people in which you want to serve. And that's one of the reasons why, at the end of the day, I think it's very, very important that, and again, in terms of when Brian would have been there and so on, I'm not so sure how he would have been included in some of those conversations. But what I can say is that the cluster of the Minister of Trade, Minister of Finance, and myself, on a weekly basis, we sit. We not only discuss finance, we discuss plans, policies, strategies, and more importantly, how we're going to implement some of those things.
So are you saying that this government will not access the HSF within the next fiscal year?
You know, that is why, again, let me go back to say, therefore, that when you want to play politics, play it somewhere else. I am not into playing politics with that kind of thing. At the end of the day,
it was a simple yes or no question.
No. Please.
Simple question.
Listen, I am not in the lower house and I'm not into this foolishness. At the end of the day, there are two things that I think is very, very important. One is that when we set policy because we are a serious government. And we make sure that we understand not only why we're doing it, but how we intend to execute it as well. So when it comes to what will happen in terms of how we undertake this particular formulation, and the reason why we are confident of what Tobago has received is because this administration has a very good relationship with the House of Assembly. The support that they will need to execute on their programs and progress are something that we are committed to giving them. In fact, I think if you speak to the Chief Secretary, he has access to any one of us on a daily basis in order to help execute on those programs. So we are not at all adverse to the fact that we are working hard to make sure that we execute agendas both in Tobago and in Trinidad.
Mrs. Pierre-Chase, the finance minister said that in the second quarter of this fiscal year, the airport terminal will be officially opened, and he did take a dig at the government, the previous administration, for the practical completion opening of it. This will open new avenues to the island of Tobago, particularly as it relates to tourism and also the business community in both Trinidad and Tobago.
Surely, Ran, that is correct. I mean, the airport, the terminal, really will see an increase. Well, projected increase in airlift coming to Tobago, but that is just part of the conversation. Getting the arrivals in, we have to make sure that the infrastructure is in place, making sure that we have the room stock. And I know on this government's agenda there is a number of initiatives that are geared for development in Tobago to make sure that the room stock is available, and not just existing stock, bringing it up to standard, but getting new investment coming onto the island. We have stated at the chamber that Tobago's tourism is highly dependent on domestic tourism coming from
About 70%.
70%. We need to change that. We need to change the fact that when BA comes and land in Barbados, 70% to 80% of the arrivals drop there, and then we just end up with the trickle. Once we improve the product model that we offer into the tourists, we are certain that the arrival rates are going to increase.
Yeah, but in fact, I think when you look at the size of the airport that they built in Tobago, whether you could question the size of the airport, but the fact that it is there, the PRCO will probably do about 1.5 annually. Tobago built an airport to do 3 million, with significant less commercial routes going to Tobago. But more importantly, when you build that kind of airport, you have to have hotel stock. So Tobago needs average at about 5,000 additional keys just to service that hotel. So, the airport. So when you think in terms of where Barbados is, for example, Barbados' main tourism stock is the U.S. market. When I went to Barbados, I actually used to run the Crane Hotel So, I was in the tourism sector. So when you think in terms of building an airport, you have to think in terms of what support there is on the island in order to drive service through the airport, whether it be FBOs, whether it be cargo facilities, whether it be hotel stocks and so on. Tobago, we need all three of those. So we really have a lot of work to do in order to get the type of commercial value needed in order to drive revenue through that airport.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, public sector wage negotiations will start at the magic figure, 10%. We discuss next.
Meet Team TNT, Martin Lumpkin, Marsha Huggins, Natasha Baron Ramtahal, Suan Marchand, and Jiwan Durga. Built on experience, focused on you. On October 14th, vote Team TNT, the leadership you trust for the future you deserve.
In Hinduism, cow's milk is revered, and from the finest milk comes our ghee. When offered into the sacred fire, cow ghee carries our prayers to the deities, unlike processed vegetable ghee. From your devotion to your delicious dishes, you can trust Anchor Cow Brand Ghee. For all occasions, use the best ghee. Enjoy the best food and delicacies, and have the best Diwali with Anchor Cow Brand Ghee.
Southern Food Basket. Quality food to fill your basket. Get it all at Southern Food Basket. Fresh goods on every aisle with best prices. For the best market around, high quality meats pound for pound. Get the best for let's start shopping. Go to Southern Food Basket. Shopping how you like it. High quality at the best prices. Every aisle just wide and special. So spend less at Southern Food Basket. Good food at great prices for sure. Come get what you're looking for. Okay, I see you. Okay, let me see you, Cherry Hill. Yeah, now take it back. Let me see you rock off, shake off. Let me see you rock off. Let me see you kick right, now kick left, now step forward, now step back. Lucasade, bring the energy.
Make your home shine this Diwali with big savings at Jima Home Furnishers. Get an amazing 30% off on all furniture, including sofas, dining room sets, beds, and much, much more. Celebrate the season with Jima Home Furnishers' unbeatable value and transform your home with comfort and style today. Where everything is on sale this Diwali. Visit any of our 3 locations, El Dorado, Kelly Village, or Couva, or give us a call at 235-4925, or visit our website at jimahomefurnishers.com.
Finance Minister Dave Tanku announcing that the public sector wage negotiations will start at 10%. Mr. Manning, I'll give you the first crack at responding to that.
Yes, well, I mean, it's fantastic because what's being offered here is very close to what the People's National Movement offered in the previous wage negotiations, which was about 9%. What we heard from various UNC platforms and from the PSA president herself was 10% for the period 2014 to 2016. Now we're seeing here 2014 to 2016 and 2017 to 2019 that the revised offer would be 10%. What we had offered was very close to 9%. So there's some discrepancy somewhere because this is completely different to what was being said on various UNC platforms and by the PSA president herself. What they were requesting would have added a $10 billion payment and $1 billion in recurrent expenditure going forward, which is completely fantastic and unreasonable. But that is what they said.
Minister Swartzen?
You know, I try to be respectful, but I don't understand. Maybe because he wasn't in cabinet, he didn't. But at the end of the day, my facts, and I wasn't in the country at the time, but the facts show that the People's National Movement took them to the tribunal and refused to give them a take-or-leave arrangement. So the fact that the PSA have not had an increase from 2013 or 2014 to 2019 should really, I mean, shame on the former administration that they could not settle or even move the needle to have that matter settled. In fact, when you think in terms of how, and that's one of the reasons why when you look at this budget, one of the things that I think Minister Tanku ought to be given very significant praise for, and the Prime Minister, she leads this government, is for the fairness of it. We, by definition, must be able to pay people a decent wage, a living wage, go back to when, I mean, so when you look at what is happening, what the Minister of Finance offered, and what the Minister of Finance said is that he instructed, based on the Prime Minister's utterances, to instruct the CPO to start negotiations commencing with an offer of 10%.
Right, and we get that, but will starting the negotiations at 10% and you end up, let's just say 11, even 12, right? And then you have all of the back pay involved with what comes with it. I just wonder, it sort of ties back into the what the former junior minister in the Ministry of Finance was asking. Can the government sustain such a debt load without having to access institutions like the IMF or the Heritage and Stabilization Fund?
Well, two things. I have a greater level of confidence, maybe, and I think the Prime Minister does as well, into the persons who sit opposite us and understand that they too know the circumstances that we find ourselves in. Nobody in Trinidad should be under any illusion that these are difficult times. When you look in terms of the budget, what did you see in the budget? You would have seen control expenditure. Not the 63, 64, 65 billion budget that they would have had in the last fiscal. You see a budget of, you know, where the expenditure has been brought down significantly. You see a budget that has been reasonable. Anybody in Trinidad and Tobago must look at all of these things and understand that we are in a circumstance that where everybody must play their part when they come to business.
Minister Swartzen, that will cost the government $214 million annually.
Yeah, but that is precisely why that there is what the Minister of Finance has been instructed to do is to ask the CPO to start negotiations commencing with an offer of 10%. So I'm not going to put...
But you don't go down. You can only go up.
But that's why we're starting at 10%. It wasn't to go down. It's to start at 10%. Mm-hmm. So the intention is to make sure and fulfill the commitment we made and that we will honor based on the negotiations that will commence at 10%.
What we are saying is that this was not the commitment. The original commitment was 10% for the period 2014 to 2016. What is being offered here, this 10% for both periods, 2014 to 16 and 2019, is similar to what the PNM had offered and was rejected by the PSA. What the PNM offered was 9%.
I don't know that you were, I hope you, I'm not sure if you won the UNC elections campaign, but on our campaign we talked about 2013 to 2019. It was always the 2019. So that was always the intention. Now, I'm not so sure what the PNM put and what was rejected, but I can tell you this. If the PNM had put 9% on the table, because my recollection is that 9% was over 3. It was disaggregated over 3 years. But be that as it may, the fact is that what you couldn't get done in 10 years, we have gotten done.
It was rejected by the PSA.
As a minister in the Ministry of Finance, Minister Swartzing, you are confident that the government will be able to afford this figure that I call $214 million annually to pay workers at a minimum of 10%.
The Prime Minister is committed to honoring the promises that she made on the campaign trail, and this government has adopted as government's policy. And based on the instructions that the Minister of Finance have received, we will not only find a way, we will make sure we honor those commitments.
Can we also explore where those revenues will come from?
Well, first of all, let's have the negotiations. Let's know what we're aiming at and what we're going to do. And as the Minister of Finance would have alluded to in the budget, we are going to work with our institutions to find a way to satisfy it.
Sanjay, do you have Minister Manning? Sorry, Minister.
No problem. Brian, I mean, I'm really not here to play politics. A wise man once said that economics trumps politics every time. We have serious issues in this economy, and this government is attempting to whitewash it or hand wave it away as though it doesn't exist. We have $600 million US that has been removed from our foreign reserves, that has brought our import cover from 8.4%, which is above the global standard of 6%, and is now down to 5.1%, one of the lowest in decades in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. We've been asking over and over and over, what has happened to that $600 million US? It cannot be that this economy is in the state that it's in, but then this government is offering 10%, fantastic promise about 10% payments, and now they are reneging on what they originally offered. What they originally offered was 10% for the period 2014 to 2016, not what they're saying here in this budget. And I would love to hear from the PSA president if this is what was said, because I guarantee you that we have in black and white and in recordings exactly what was said by her and members of this government.
Well, I'm sure she will answer you, but two things I will say. When you think in terms of what has happened in the last 10 years, in 2014, the reserves over 10 billion. By 2025, it was just about 5. The debt has doubled from 62, 63, the Minister of Finance would have said it in the budget, to 140. So don't look to want to talk to this government about where the fiscal space, the fiscal scenario is, based on how you have mismanaged it for the last 10 years.
Yeah, Brian, you cannot mismanage an economy. The economy we handed to this government was the only investment-grade economy in all of CARICOM, and one of the few in Latin America and the Caribbean.
And it is still investment-grade.
And we had an import cover of 8.4 months, which is above the international benchmark of 6 for energy-producing economies.
But you receive an import cover in 2015 of over 11 months.
Just a few months later, import cover is down to 5.4, which is below the international benchmark. You can't blame the pain for everything. This government is still campaigning. And it is time to govern. They're having a difficult time doing that.
It is time you tell the truth. What we have received and the ratings that we would have received over the last was based on what they would have done. Right. All the figures would have been from Standard & Poor's, what took place before April. So stop telling untruths.
Okay, if you're going to talk about the truth, what happened to the $600 million that was removed from our foreign reserves? What has it been used for?
There are two things I will tell you. You're studying about the 600 million. What happened to the 5 billion that they would have inherited from 2014? So if you could account for what happened between 2015 and 2025.
Answer a question with a question.
No, but account for what took place between 2015 and 2025. But you can't account for it. The economy was stagnated. Right. Lots of mismanagement. You didn't even implement the actual report that because I know you know about it from NIB, from 2019 till now, where the fund was being threatened in extension for 2033. You didn't do any of those things.
All right, so
the minister can't say what happened to the 600 million, and he cannot say that they won't access the HSF.
As you said, Mr. Manning, economics trumps politics every day. So let's bring in the economist. Dr. Vanus James, your thoughts on the government trying very much to hold on to its 10% promise to start wage negotiations for public sector workers at 10%.
Putting that in the context of the discussion between the minister and Mr. Manning, what I would think of is that this is an import-intensive country, and if you meet the commitment on the wage bill in that way, you're going to raise demand for imports. And if you at 5.4 months of import cover now, consider where you would be unless we are able to do something with respect to foreign exchange generation. That brings you, as I would point out on the sidelines there, that brings you back to the whole fundamental question of restructuring of the economy. But the other thing that we have to keep in mind here is that when you meet these commitments, when you try to meet these commitments, you had better be lucky that the oil and gas prices that you forecast are close to being realized, because if they're not, then you're going to have trouble with other parts of the government's obligations. Even if you have to meet the wage cover, even if you have to give the public servants the money, you will find yourself stretched in other areas unless we are lucky. Now, luck has helped the country every decade, but the same lack of luck has caused governments to fall decade after decade after decade. And I wish the government well. I would like to say that I hope that we can share whatever information we have so you could know how to think through the adjustment of the structure of the economy, even as it has to grapple with these important considerations like keeping the election promises and so on.
Before I head to final comments, and thank you very much for that, Dr. James, I do want to get your perspective very quickly, albeit Mrs. Pierre-Chase, on Finance Minister Dave Tanku saying that he is now going to, on a phased basis, increase the national insurance contributions in a bid to avoid insolvency. So it'll be 3% next January and then another 3% in January 2027. And just a very important point to note as well is that he announced that the age for receiving national insurance, NIS pension, will gradually increase over a 10-year period to 65. I just want to get your thoughts before we start wrapping.
Well, the private sector has been on board, and Minister Spransing alluded to that the fact that the actuarial report has been sitting there, that we needed to do something with the NIS system. We couldn't continue on the same trajectory that we were continue on because it was unsustainable. So some measures had to be put in place to address the issues with respect to the sustainability of the NIS system. What has been proposed by the government will see a cost to the employers, of course, because there's this percentile increase. 3%. And then the movement of the retirement age. The only concern or rebuttal I would put to that is that it has been moved along a period or tenure that I thought should have been shortened. Because the recommendation, and when you look at what's happening internationally, a lot of people, in order to protect their NIS system, would have been increasing that age of retirement immediately. We are looking at it from a longer trajectory. Yeah, to get to that
other
point.
Caribbean islands as well. I will give you the opportunity to kickstart our final comments. Your thoughts on Budget 2026?
Holistically, I would support a lot of the measures there. As I said in our opening remarks, the Chamber was very happy to note that the government had taken into account the recommendations that we put forward, and I really want to commend Minister Spransing for taking the time to listen to some of the points that we have to put forward. I would wrap up my closing statement with 2 points that Minister Spransing said, which a lot has been done in terms of diversification. A lot has been done in terms of the SME sector, but not enough. And we seem to be more talk than action. And what I see, and remain very hopeful, at least the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber of Commerce remains very hopeful for, is that we will see the more that is needed, the more that is required to take us down that path that we have been anticipating to get on. And the second one is with respect to the implementation. So the government is supposed to create the facilitative environment for the business community. And in our conversations with Minister Spransing, he's putting the business community at the forefront. You guys go out out, do it, get the projects going. Tell us what projects you have. We will assist you with the financing to get that economic growth going. So the implementation aspect of it is the government really creating that facilitative environment. We can't just simply be talking ease of doing business and not really taking it seriously.
We are running very close to time. Dr. Driver?
So the additional things which we haven't discussed, which I'd just like to mention, I think there's a commitment around renewable energy. It's good to see that. We just need more of that. We need to move that quickly as possible. Green hydrogen, huge opportunity area for the country. It was good to see the mention of it. Again, it's the implementation. Now we've got to move that forward quickly. Renewables has a direct impact on foreign exchange. The less natural gas we use in electricity generation, the more natural gas we have for petchem and LNG to increase forex. So that focus on renewables, we just need to implement quickly.
Mrs. O'Brien?
We didn't bring it up, but I'd like some consideration given to the Forex and the EXIM dispensation. It was announced that it's going to move to almost a loan-like facility. And in that model, there's a lot of questions and clarity that is needed. What are the conditions? And then the second thing, Sanjay mentioned the SMEs. If the SMEs are importing a high percentage of raw material to produce goods and services and exporting less, they're the ones who's not going to have, the availability of that forex to continue business. So I'm just throwing it out there. That's at the kind of macro and first view, but I would like, we'd like to get some more clarity later on.
Yeah, Dr. James?
I would want to make, one of which is that there's a lot more to know about the mechanisms we need to put in place to boost our capacity to export under the current structure of the economy that we are working with. And some of the information is very new, stuff we have only very recently been able to uncover, studied in 54 years of data. That's the kind of information the government needs to put its hand on. The second point I want to make, though, is Fali would have a lot of difficulty if in Tobago we are simultaneously collapsing CPEP and URP, and we're unable to announce mechanisms by which we are going to be able to diversify the national economy and allow Tobago to develop in that same framework. And if I were the government, I would pay attention to both of those points.
Thank you very much for joining us, Dr. James. Appreciate it, Mr. Manning.
Yes, well, I mean, we believe that this budget is both fake and fraudulent. These revenue projections are nothing more than pure fantasy. It gives with one hand in terms of reducing fuel prices, but then proceeds to take with the other. There's an increase in taxes in banking. There's a property tax by another name. There's an electricity surcharge, increase in fees and charges and duties, which will increase the price of every imported product in this country. There's across the board increase in taxes and cost of living on the people of this country. The removal of CPEP and URP is also going to cause extreme unemployment and problems with some of the most vulnerable people in Trinidad and Tobago. We do not believe the numbers that we are seeing in this document. It makes no sense.
Minister Swarsingh, you have the final word.
No, thank you very much, and I wouldn't even bother to respond to that. But I'll say two things. One is that I think people are today relieved and hopeful from what they have seen and what they have heard, and understand that this government not only makes promises, but keep their promises as well. And I look forward to working with the rest of my colleagues to building a better Trinidad and Tobago, so that those who are unable to believe, we can convert and help them to believe once again.
Lady, gentlemen, thank you very much for being on the panel for Promises and Priorities, the budget presentation for 2026. Stay tuned to our social media platforms, and we'll also have rolling coverage online and on television tomorrow as we continue to analyze the Trinidad and Tobago budget presentation for 2026. Have a good night.
Budget coverage brought to you by Kuna Caribbean Insurance, Rand Credit Union Cooperative Society Limited, Alive by Nature's Way, distributed by H&J Enterprises, and Burger King.